You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice softly carries up the stairs.
Hello? Is someone there?
It's hypnotizing. It's the kind of voice you only have to hear once to remember it for the rest of your life. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation. You're playing a dangerous game by coming here unarmed.
You are? It's been so long since anyone's come down here. I was starting to think they'd forgotten about me.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's beautiful. How could someone like this be a threat to anyone? I am begging you to stay focused. There's a lot riding on you here.
Hi. Do you think you can get me out of these chains?
You're only making this more difficult.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're making a huge mistake. No, you're doing the right thing. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
I'm guessing you don't have the key?
Maybe it's somewhere upstairs, doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
Okay, I'll be here.
You attempt to make your way. Is someone else here? Your shouts and pleas. I'll repeat myself once again. You're here. You try the door, but it's... You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd just taken the blade like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone. Look at the mess you're in.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they?
There's a slight panic rising in the princess's voice.
If I could just get out of these chains, I know we could force our way out of here together.
She barely hesitates before raising her arm to her mouth, her teeth tearing through her limb with the determination of a trapped wolf. As she rips her flesh from her bone, a sound comes from behind you. It's the blade from upstairs. You're not sure how it made its way down here, but if there's a time to strike, it's now. Or we could use it to free her. You won't like what happens if you do that. Without hesitation, you bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally. The wound drives her to the ground. Okay, there's no going back now. I'm with you to the end.
You bastard. Were you lying to me this whole time?
The princess pushes away from you, the motion ripping the blade from her back. Wounded, but still alive, she crouches on all fours in the corner of the room and meets your eyes with the ferocity of a cornered predator.
You've made a terrible enemy, and there's nothing in the world that can possibly save you from me.
I thought we had the upper hand, but it's as if she's barely even threatened by us. It's an act. She's wounded and unarmed. There's nothing she can do to hurt you. I'm not so sure. Don't waver now. As you ready your blade to deliver a lethal blow, she lunges at your legs with the same animal ferocity she used to tear at her arm. Your knife cuts into her again and again as you're tackled to the ground, your body racked with pain as she rips into you with tooth and claw. Forget about trying to rescue her. This is about survival now. Give her everything you've got. Though your nerves are seizing with pain, you know you've done your fair share of damage as well, your blade having left deep gashes in the princess's back. You seize a moment of hesitation to throw her off of you and shakily push yourself back to your knees. We can still turn this around. Are you serious? As what's left of your blood pools around you on the cobblestone floor, the blade falls from your trembling hands and clatters uselessly against the ground. I suppose you simply lacked the will to finish the job. The princess, wounded but still alive, nervously jumps at the blade and kicks it far away from you before retreating into a dark corner of the room. Her shining eyes watch you from the darkness, unblinking and curious as you bleed out. We can only hope the wounds you managed to inflict will be enough to at least delay her escape from this place. If we're very lucky, they'll kill her before she can reach the outside world.
After all this time alone, I thought I'd finally found a friend, but you were just another monster, weren't you?
This is the end, isn't it? Before you can answer, everything goes dark and you die. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. Again? People don't die twice. You haven't even met the princess, and I hardly think she'd be capable of killing someone as skilled and courageous as yourself. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. If he doesn't remember what happened, then something else must have trapped us here. You're not trapped here. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, though the only sensible thing for you to do right now is march up to that cabin and slay the princess. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Does a cat lie to a cornered mouse when it plays with its freedom? Or is it just acting out its nature? I don't see why that matters. A lie's a lie, and if anything, she's the one who's cornered. She could have gotten out of there whenever she wanted to. We should trust nothing that she tells us, only what we hear and smell. That's a very roundabout way of saying that you should listen to me and take this seriously. Maybe. The interior of the cabin is ruinous and dilapidated. It feels like no one has lived here for a long time, wind rushing in through cracks and holes in the wooden walls. The only furniture of note is a termite-eaten table with a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It will be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon. That's because there isn't a mirror. There's a table, the blade sitting on the table, and the door to the basement. There's nothing else in here. There's definitely a mirror. There isn't. What a strange thing to lie about. Maybe he doesn't see it, much like he hasn't seen what's already happened. Exactly. Why would I lie about something so meaningless? What good would a mirror even do? Let you waste time preening yourself instead of doing what needs to be done. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing what's left of an old wooden staircase. It's still sturdy enough that you can make your way down in one piece, though you'll have to be mindful of holes. The air seeping up from below is oddly warm and wet, as if you're descending into a jungle. If the princess lives here, slaying her would probably be doing her a favor. She growls up the stairs.
I can smell you.
She sounds almost feral. Impatient. Or maybe eager. You carefully make your way down the stairs. The last step gives way to the damp earth floor of a starlit pit. The walls are obscured by an impenetrable darkness, giving the illusion that the room might stretch on forever. You brush against the wide leaves of plants that surround you on all sides, seemingly the only living things that occupy this strange underground wilderness. The jungle is pressing in on us, hiding her from view. She could be anywhere. You see only a flash of the princess before she scurries away into the underbrush, dragging her heavy chain behind her. Remember, she's just a princess. She is certainly not just a princess. You're not helping. It doesn't matter what she is. It only matters what she does. Her shining eyes appear between the leaves, staring hungrily at you from the darkness.
I can hear your heart pounding from the bottom of the stairs, fledgling. You're right to be terrified. I'm so much more than you. And a little splinter clutched in trembling hands won't save you from me.
A shiver rushes up your spine and pulls you upright. The air's shifting. She's getting ready to pounce. Move, now. You lunge to the side, picking a direction on instinct. As you land, you're buffeted by a gust of air, disturbed by the sudden motion of a massive body. The princess. In an instant, she's pounced on the spot where you would have been, her chains rattling across the floor behind her. Before you can blink, she's gone, vanishing once more into the shadows. But you still feel her gaze on you.
You're faster than you were before, but you're still meek, reactive, prey.
You whirl around to find her, and your gaze meets hers, a pair of shining eyes peering out at you from just beyond the basement stairs. So she's cut off our escape. Shit, what do we do? Oh, for the love of... You've given up the game. Great. All that will do is hasten her victory.
So many useless thoughts run through your head. Thinking, thinking, thinking. You'll never hurt me if you keep thinking. I want to swallow you whole, and I will get what I want. You have no exit. You have no hope. You live and die by my whims, and my whims alone.
Don't ask her what she wants, just slay her. Is that all the advice you have? We don't even know what she looks like. Some specifics would be very helpful. She's just a princess. Don't overthink it. She is clearly not. She's coiling for another strike. We're on the back foot. The back foot keeps us nimble, keeps us alive. It doesn't matter if it keeps us alive if it eventually kills us. We need to take back the momentum. We need to do something. This isn't going to work. We're in her domain. We just have to stay alive. If we keep dodging her forever, we're going to get tired. We're going to slip up. We have to take a risk. As the princess lunges from the shadows once more, the titan will blade and lash out. It strikes, cutting deep, and the princess loses her focus, crying out in pained surprise as she crashes into you. You're sent sprawling and can already feel the massive bruise blossoming on your ribs as she scrambles back into the darkness. Ha! Look at that! We wounded her, and she wounded us. Bad trade.
That hurt. Are you just the cornered animal you seem to be? Or could you be a rival?
She rears back, then leaps at you, more forceful, more ferocious, more serious. The scuffle is brief, and though you inflict a few deep wounds, you find yourself quickly overwhelmed by her savagery. You collapse to the floor, and she wastes no time before pouncing on you in a flurry of claws and blood, your nerves barely able to keep up with the onslaught. By the end, you're lying in a nest of your own intestines, spine severed, blood rapidly draining out onto the jungle floor. The princess, drenched in both her blood and yours, idly prods your body.
No, that's it then. Cornered animal it was. Do better next time. I still need to devour you. And it doesn't count if you're dead.
We're not dead, But you don't have time to protest her premature observation of your death, because everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the wood.
Yeah, we are. And this time we're not gonna run until we die. We're taking her head on and we're winning.
You felt her. She didn't have a soft underbelly. She didn't have blind spots. What could we have done that would have saved us from her hunger?
When someone tries to make you dead, you have to hit them back. You have to show them your authority. There's nothing worse than a bully that thinks they own you.
Great, so you've been here before. That doesn't bode well. You're not supposed to have been here before. This is supposed to be one and done.
Oh, shut up. It bodes fine. You're the reason we're stuck in this shit situation. Now I have to do the hard work of dragging us out.
And how do you intend to do that?
We're going to fight her, and we're going to win. There's a reason she slinks around in the shadows.
Well, no complaints here. Now, hold on. We're not just going to let the fact that he knows things about this whole Lupin situation go, are we?
He's not important. He can have his secrets for all I care. She's killed us twice now, and that's enough of a reason for us to want her dead. Like I said, we're going to fight her.
But we're so small.
We don't actually know how big she is. We just know she wants us to think she's big. And if she's going to treat us like prey again, then she is sorely underestimating us. One good wallop, that's all we need to put her on the defensive.
Ground is ground. It doesn't matter what shape it takes. We'll adapt. If it looks different, that's because the situation has started to spiral out of everyone's control. So please, disavow yourself of the notion that you can just come back here and fix this place if you manage to make a mess before that line of thinking leaves you yet another world in ruin. Though, as evidenced by you dying twice, it's safe to assume the fates of the worlds you've left behind don't concern you very much. Consider this your last opportunity to make things right. For you and for the rest of existence. But especially for you.
We don't need your pep talk. I'll make sure we pull this off.
I've told you as much as I can without putting you at a disadvantage. If anything, I've told you too much. Like that grumbling voice said just a moment ago, you've already died by her hands twice. You shouldn't need much else in the way of motivation. You make your way down to the cabin. Your fated confrontation awaits. You know what to do.
We've already been over the plan.
I'm not sure that use violence counts as a plan.
It's a better plan than you had last time.
I don't like this, but I'll try to keep us breathing. The interior is dark and overgrown. Vines and brush obscure so much of the place that, had you not seen the exterior, you might not have noticed this was a cabin at all. The only furniture of note, if you could call it that, is a knotted stump. A pristine blade embedded in its exposed rings. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you're going to do this right.
Take it. We're not fighting a monster without a blade. Even if it's not a very big one.
Great. That mirror's back. And it's where the door is supposed to be. What are you talking about? There is no mirror. It's just the stump and a narrow tunnel that leads to the basement. He isn't tricking us. Can you feel the wind? It's telling us there's a hole in that wall. Our eyes deceive us.
If that mirror's blocking our way, just smash it and be done with it.
Yes, take the steel claw. You pull the blade from the stump, gripping it tight. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon.
Good. One step closer to ending this.
You step forward, approaching the small hole that leads to the basement, hesitating before you enter the princess's lair.
You heard him. Stop hesitating and smash that antique.
That mirror isn't part of this place. It's seeped through from somewhere else. It, if there even is an it, is a hallucination. Like you said, you've been here twice before. Your mind was bound to start playing tricks on you eventually. It's so grimy. Maybe we can wipe it clean and finally get a look at ourselves. You reach forward and wave your hand over the open hole leading to the basement. See? Nothing. Tricks of the eye. No one sense can be trusted on its own. You step forward into the darkness. If there were once stairs leading into the basement, there is nothing left to attest to their existence now. There is only a long tunnel of packed earth, growing more narrow as you descend. It smells of mold and decay. The damp walls leave streaks of dirt along your body as you're forced to hunch, then finally squat down on all fours in order to continue. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. As you crawl forward on hands and knees, you're met only with the sounds of ambient earth. No voice slinks confidently up the stairs. No entity threatens violence or pleads for safety. Stay quiet. Don't give her a sound. You say nothing, maintaining the silence as you carefully make your way down into the basement. The basement is dark and cavernous, a gaping maw threatening to swallow you whole. There is no light here, save for what little starlight has managed to filter down the tunnel. And though you can't see the vastness of the space, you can feel it. You're exposed.
It doesn't matter if we can't see down here. We know where she is. She doesn't respond. I assume that means her answer is yes. You step into the shadows and are enveloped in total darkness. Your heart pounds in your chest, ears pricked, eyes wide despite the inky blackness, waiting for any sign of movement.
And what? You're gonna turn around the second she runs for us? You'll get us killed, you pathetic fool.
There, she's about to strike. With the near silence of a determined predator, the princess erupts from the shadows. But you've already started your swift escape.
Stop it! Fight her!
The conflict in your heart, though usually of little consequence, slows you down just enough. You don't make it into the tunnel before you feel her hot breath at your back, rushing up your spine and closing in on your neck as her teeth press into your skin. Death again. She's gone. And there's that mirror. I'm begging you, don't. This doesn't feel right. It feels... That thing we...
Screw the mirror, we just...
Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel. Yes, nerves and fibers to feel the worlds beyond, perspectives to make my own. This one is consumed by instinct, a predator pushing those around her to adapt. She will make for a bold heart. She wishes me to devour you, to make you a part of myself, but she is only a voice. Do not mourn her, for she is part of something greater. Nothing, as we are, but I know that there are worlds beyond us, and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to. Bring me more perspectives, so that I may be whole, and perhaps then we will know our freedom. She asks that I tell you to remember her. You won't.